Hello Ratbags, it's Jade PlaySGames back again with another ARK Survival Evolved news update. Today guys, we've got information about the last stages of ARK Survival Evolved Early Access. Not only that, we're also going to be talking about the GDC conference that the developers went on, with information about why SOTF failed, why they implemented tech tier, and why they think that underwater bases are ultimately going to fail. So the devs are on their way home from this conference where they all went as a part of a gaming conference to talk about the game. So to get some of the news out of the way that you might have heard about is the console update is looking like it will launch next week guys. You can see here Jack the community manager has said they're planning to wrap up the next console update when we get back and are aiming for an end of week release. Now end of week release normally means an ETA. They've still not put an ETA on the actual patch notes, but they're frequently a little bit late with it, so I would expect it, if it doesn't drop on Friday, probably to drop next Monday. So the update I'm talking about is the PC version 2.55. That will be coming to Xbox and PS4 by the looks of it at the end of this week guys, hopefully. The Electrophorus, the basically eel, the Microraptor, the Ammonite, the Ficolo, all the new tech tier tile sets that you've seen me play around with, they're all coming at the end of the week hopefully guys. And you can just see here Jack saying we're planning to wrap up the console update when we get back and are aiming for the end of week release. They've also said they've got a brand new rendering update coming in as well. So it's going to improve things on PC and it's going to be on this console update. So we're going to hopefully see a massive improvement in how the game looks and runs. So the reason I said that this is entering the final stages of development is because this is the stage guys where the game gets wrapped up. They really concentrate on the performance and how the game looks and how it runs. They're not going to be adding as much content. It's all about polishing the game. Now we've had a rough estimate from Wildcard since Christmas saying the game would come out in spring. Well, spring really ends at the end of May. I've seen some reports saying that the game will come out at the beginning of June, and that would tally up. You've seen from other YouTubers probably that there's only maybe 8 or 9 dinosaurs left in terms of all the dossiers that they release periodically. So if you count them up guys, we're going to get these 4 dinosaurs coming in and then there's not too many more left coming up. So by the time April rolls around, we should be seeing the last of the creatures added to the game. Now of course in future they will add other dinosaurs, they will keep it fresh, I'm sure they're going to add much more content, but they like to hype things up. For all year they release dossier files and dinosaur pictures and things like that months in advance to build up hype. But they've not released anything new in the recent few months, it's all been stuff that's been there for ages, so don't expect any new additions other than what you might have seen. So Alexaurus asked, does this mean you guys will be entering the performance and rendering part of development soon? And Jack says, we've already been doing some bit by bit, but yes, there's more to come with a lot of focus on client side performance too. So a lot of that is jargon, but it just means that basically on official servers you're going to have less lag, you'll have less disconnects and it should run a lot better on official servers and online. As well of course as single player and non-dedicated player servers, it will definitely improve. So it really is the last run guys. In the next couple of months we really could see the final release of ARK and we'll see the last of sort of the news channels doing this. Once the game comes out they're not going to need to generate as much hype, they're not going to be as communicative on Twitter, they won't need to because they'll have made their much money. They've sold 7 million copies of the game across PC, Xbox and PS4. Of course the game will update, they're going to release DLC for it, they'll, I'm sure update it with major content patches. But in terms of keeping us up to date on a daily basis, they won't be doing that. So news channels like mine and other YouTubers really will have to think of something else to use on their channel. Because guys, totally okay with it, you guys watch me mostly for news and tutorials. And that is amazing, I'm so grateful that you guys do. But literally when this game comes out, that kind of thing is going to dry up because after a while there won't be any more tutorials to do and there won't be any news videos to do. So it's really interesting, it's really exciting, but a little bit apprehensive as well about what I'm going to be doing in the next few months. So that's all the update information gone on to it. That's all the talk about when it's going to release and what we expect in the next few months. I'm going to go into a bit more detail now about something that happened at the conference. They obviously gave a big talk, the creators of ARK, Jesse and Jeremy. And they've done a slideshow. Now this slideshow has only been translated into Japanese so far, but I managed to get Google and to translate it, so it's a bit weird. Some of the words don't necessarily match, but the slides are all in English, and I found some really good information from these slides. It is very wordy, so if you're not that bothered, don't worry, you can turn off now, but there's some really cool information about SOTF, about underwater bases, about Scorched Earth, all sorts of things they've launched, and whether or not they succeeded or failed. So this is one of their initial sort of blueprint ideas for the game: tame, train and ride exotic creatures, and we can all say they've done a fantastic job of that. So part of the development process and part of their talk at the GDC was how they come up with ideas and what ideas kind of make it through to the finished game. I've opened it up in a little slide here because it's a little bit more clearer. What were the features that I think I need? What was the feature that community is in need? Or good content to the new players? The development, is it convenient for you to continue? Was it a problem with fans and media? Was it easy to incorporate? Were we satisfied the content was good? More or less, paraphrasing there. And you can see there's different points. So for each one of these questions, they've got points. Did the feature they added work? And obviously if it's a yes, they give themselves 2 points. Was the feature that the community is in need? If the answer is yes, they get 2 points. Etc, etc. So it seems a bit boring, but it becomes like immediately clear how they came up with ideas how to cancel SOTF. If you don't know by now, where have you been? I've done umpteen videos about it. SOTF, Survival of the Fittest, has been cancelled. You will not see development of this anymore on console, and you will not see it developed anymore on PC. There is no delay, they've not put it on a hiatus, they have actually just cancelled it. Maybe if they're really bored in a year's time, they might try and do something new with it again, but I highly doubt it. So this slide is what they showed, and you can see here the separate product driven by perceived demand from vocal community. So that was the initial idea. They thought it was a good idea because lots of people in the community said they would like to play a competitive version of it. But most people didn't actually care about the actual SOTF version of the game on PC. They just wanted to play the normal base game. Apparently it was expensive to develop as well, even though it started out as a mod. And unsustainable CCUs, that's the concurrent user. That means how many people are actually playing it. And you can see from this little graph here, it started out on a fairly good level, but it quickly dipped. Until at the end there, you can see how little players were actually playing it. And so they've deemed it a failure. And there's the scorecard, what we talked about earlier. What they wanted, community, etc, etc, etc. And so you can see it's got 0 points. That's why they've stopped it and have not done anything with it. Next up is Scorched Earth with 4 points. It was something they wanted to do. The community didn't necessarily were lukewarm on it. They weren't that bothered. It wasn't something they actually needed. And it certainly wasn't something new players needed, as the map is extremely hard. So you can see here they've put it was easy to think of the idea, and it was generally something they thought that could be implemented really well. But going back to the slides, you can see the 2 next X's, which were community feedback. Was it a problem with fans and media evaluation? And was it easy to incorporate content? A big fat no for them too, and you can see from this chart here, the red or orange is negative reviews, and the blue is actually reviews for. And you can see the massive jump in reviews for no, but over time that leveled out. But despite the negative reviews, obviously everyone was playing it because it was brand new content, even though it cost so much money. Something no other developer has ever done, released paid DLC when a game is still in early access. I personally at the time thought it was wrong. I'd done lots of videos explaining why I thought it was wrong. I definitely thought they could have made it cheaper, if anything. I don't think the Scorched Earth map was worth the money it was worth. Hence why I've not actually bought it on PS4. I refuse to buy it again. But you can see here from the stuff here, we've got hugely controversial in community and press, giant review bomb, but apparently as long as it's #1 on Steam and #1 making the game #1 or 2 on Steam, that's all that mattered. Overall though, apparently the Scorched Earth was highly rated with 82%, and it did increase to nearly a 30% increase in daily players. So in terms of developing a game, that is all the hard things that matter. Are more players playing your game? Has it come out with a reasonable review score afterwards? Is it making you money? And the answers to all of them 3 questions is yes. Next up, we've got the Dino rebalance. Apparently lots of people were unhappy with the Dino rebalance that happened in January. And this was last year when they nerfed a lot of the creatures. And you can see just from the graph, I won't dwell on this too much, it's mostly positive reviews. Lots of people that were currently playing the game didn't like it, but it did increase the player count. Last up, we've got Swamp Fever. Now this was one that lots of people supposedly didn't like and were really unhappy with it. And going by everything they put there again, it didn't get any points. It was extremely hard to cure, new players couldn't actually cure it, and so it put them off playing the game. Everyone in the community hated it. Not that many people actually complained though, in terms of putting reviews on Steam or game sites about it. But after that update, they did see a little downward trend in people actually playing the game. So they did quickly fix that. You can now cure Swamp Fever by leveling up your health. So if you ever get Swamp Fever, just level up 1 point in health and it will cure it. You don't need to go and get all the bleach blood and everything else. Now, Cross ARK. Now this is definitely one of the most controversial ones. Being able to take your dinosaurs or creatures from any map and put them onto another map. You can see it says their plan was to allow free movement of characters and items between servers, enabled cross-server raiding, highly controversial, but game become more dynamic and steadily increasing player count. But despite it getting a lot of bad press supposedly, not that many people reviewed it badly because of it. You can see the blue spikes are people saying it was good and the red spikes saying no. And this graph shows the amount of players that are actually playing the game. Now these spikes are weekends. It's like my YouTube videos, I get more people watching at the weekend, and it's the same because more people have got free time to play the game. But you can see there that it generally went up. Now I've got one about the sheep, but basically it was a big controversial decision to include the sheep. It was meant to be as part of a competition, but they basically asked people to vote for it and sort of bribe so they could win the competition. So it got a massive amount of negative press. The community didn't necessarily need it, and it had no real positive effect. So they quickly changed the message and they quickly changed why they added the sheep. So it's good that they recognise their mistakes. So on to the last 2 slides now. We have Tech Tier. Now Tech Tier only scraped through just the development phase, going by their scoreboard, going by what they've said they measure things by. It's controversial because not everyone likes sci-fi. It adds significantly to endgame, part of long-term content goals. It's not critical to shipping. They could have easily have made the game without Tech Tier stuff. But they want to do it. Week after launch, highest Steam player count ever. And you can see there, so far so good. So although it got a negative reaction from the press, although it was hard to actually implement and hard to actually involve in the game, and it still is as it's very buggy, ultimately it's a successful wildcard. And now we come to the last slides. Underwater bases not yet introduced. They're already predicting it's going to be a fail. They already publicly committed to this. The community wants it. Potential technical issues, but risk vs reward still favours the reward. Not a huge content investment and may open new gameplay opportunities. They're going to do it anyway. Now that seems a bit crazy. If everything's telling them it's not going to work, why would you bother doing it? And as far as I know, not that many people want underwater bases. But I guess it's something that if you play on official servers, you'll definitely consider more important. So there you go guys, sorry that was a bit wordy, it's not as interesting just showing you slides, but I don't think you'll find them slides anywhere else or the sort of in-depth talk about it. It's interesting to me how wildcard work and what decisions they make, how they arrive on them decisions. And I think it's interesting to see like what content updates get made and how they will be made in the future. So next time we see something you don't like, think back to that review scorecard and wonder if they actually made that decision based on whether or not it would be a success, or if it's something they just want to do anyway. So there we go guys, another update. We've got a brand new update coming for console, hopefully at the end of the week according to the community development team. It's going to improve rendering, it's going to improve a lot of graphic improvements as well. And in the next 2 months we're going to be seeing massive improvements to gameplay, lag and official servers. The game is nearly ready guys, it's about to come out in the next 2 to 3 months. I am Jade PLAYSGAMES. For all the ARK news, in-depth news as well, make sure you hit this notification button up there. I'm going to be ramping up ARK content like you wouldn't believe in the next couple of months. I'm going to be trying doing 2 ARK videos a day at least, as well as all my other content, but I'm really going to be hammering home lots of my content like the Tame series, my Let's Play series, and more tutorials and guides. I really feel like I've only got a few more months to get this content in before it becomes not as popular with you people that want to watch it. And that's the most important thing, getting content that you guys want to watch and that you guys enjoy. So if you've got any suggestions about the content I do, make sure you leave them in the comment section. Anything you like, anything you prefer not to see as much, let me know. I'm always open to feedback and sometimes you don't get it enough. So let me know what your favourite series are, what you'd like to see more of or less of. I'm Jade PLAYSGAMES, thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you later.